The room went quiet the moment Alan Jones dropped the word bullshit. Not shouted, not thrown for effect, just delivered with that flat, unmistakable certainty only a 1980 world champion can carry. And in that pause, you could almost feel the tension around Oscar Piastri's season tightening again. His sudden loss of pace, the 58-point swing since Zandvoort, the team orders in Monza, all of it feeding a narrative that McLaren was quietly tilting the table toward Lando Norris. Jones heard it and shut it down. Hard. If you love F1 without the noise, hit subscribe and let's get into it. Because here's the cold context. Piastri led this championship after race 5. Now he trails Norris by 24 with 3 to go. Since Azerbaijan, the rhythm that once looked effortless has turned jagged. Crashes in Baku, messy Saturdays, recovery drives that fell short. And into that slipstream came the conspiracies. Preferential treatment, hidden upgrades, papaya rules. But Jones, calm, dry, razor sharp, cuts through it. Teams don't burn millions to stymie one car, he said. And knowing Zach Brown, equal chances. That's the legend talking, not the internet. What hits hardest this week is how cleanly the numbers map the slope of Oscar Piastri's season. Since his win in Zandvoort, where Max Verstappen retired and the championship picture briefly cracked open, Piastri has been outscored by Norris 58-0 across 6 races. No theories, no whispers, just results. And when Alan Jones calls the favoritism angle absolute crap, he's responding directly to that scoreboard, not the noise wrapped around it. You can see the drop in one simple visual McLaren analysts use internally. Graphic, 6-race form chart. Norris plus 58, Piastri 0. Delta expanding each weekend. It's a stark line. No hidden patterns, just execution. Since Azerbaijan, the Saturdays have gone wrong first. Small mistakes under braking, over-rotation in mid-speed corners, the kind that snowball at circuits like Baku and Monza. Then, Sundays became recovery drives instead of controlled title defense stints. Claire Williams put it simply, managing 2 evenly matched, equally ambitious drivers under pressure is not an easy piece of work. The key detail, neither Williams nor Jones saw any structural tilt toward the Briton. For them, this is form. Pure form swinging violently in one direction. What keeps shaping this story is how Piastri himself describes it. Strange. Not broken, not political, just a rhythm he can't quite lock back in. And that word matters because it mirrors the telemetry trend McLaren engineers have quietly noted since Baku. Oscar's micro-timing through long radius corners has drifted just enough to dull tire preparation on the outlap. Not a theory, a measurable delta. To make it clear for viewers, imagine a simple side-by-side. Comparative board, Norris versus Piastri. Corner entry consistency last 6 rounds. Norris, stable, plus or minus 0.03 seconds. Piastri, plus or minus 0.07 seconds variance. Tiny numbers, massive consequences over a race stint. The media chatter in Australia picked up the Monza team order moment as if it were a smoking gun, but both Planet F1 and Racing News 365 emphasized the same fact. That call came only because Norris had pace in hand and Piastri's tires were fading. No hidden briefings, no papaya rules. Alan Jones brings context only a champion can. This is the same cycle he saw with Mark Webber, with Carlos Reutemann, with every era where form briefly flips. For Jones, this moment doesn't expose McLaren, it exposes the volatility of a title fight. The real weight of this dip lands in the championship maths. Coming out of Zandvoort, Piastri had a cushion, small but real. Now, with Norris 24 points ahead and only 3 Grand Prix left, every misstep multiplies. And in Vegas, the margins will be brutal. Low grip, cold tires, and a layout that punishes hesitation. Alan Jones said it plainly. Norris could have a DNF, Piastri win, and end up back in the lead again. That isn't optimism. That's the arithmetic of a season still alive. Inside McLaren, the pit wall's priority is unchanged. Score with both cars. Claire Williams described it perfectly. Best laid plans dissolve once the lights go out, and teams react to what the pace dictates. That's why team order moments like Monza, though painful in the heat of the moment, protect the bigger picture. The constructors' fight, the title window, the momentum curve all hinge on converting every clean Sunday. Piastri's task now is brutally clear. Stabilize Saturdays, minimize tire loss, and stop the points bleed. Because if Norris stretches the gap to 30, the final 2 rounds tilt from fight back into miracle territory. What McLaren is really managing now is the emotional temperature of a title pairing under strain. Norris has surged into a rhythm that feels almost Verstappen-like in its repeatability, while Piastri is wrestling through weekends that start on the back foot. And when that dynamic forms, one driver flying, the other searching, it can distort everything around a team. Fans read intent where there is only circumstance. Every pit call becomes a referendum. Every strategy split feels political. But the consequences on track are far more concrete. With 3 rounds left, McLaren can't afford divergence. If Piastri falls outside the top 6 again, Norris becomes the de facto sole title spear, whether anyone says it out loud or not. That puts pressure on Piastri to convert every Q3, nail every outlap, and avoid the scrappy opening laps that turn Baku into a double blow. Lost points and lost momentum. The danger isn't favoritism. It's a points gap widening into a psychological one. And McLaren, haunted by past seasons where internal tension cost them peak performance, knows this is the moment they must keep both cars aligned. Across the paddock, the tone of the debate shifts depending on where you're listening. In the UK, the storyline is almost clinical. Piastri's slump is framed as form fluctuation, nothing more. Analysts point to the data, the corner entry variance, the messy Azerbaijan weekend, and circle it as the natural turbulence of a title campaign. In Australia, though, the emotional temperature is hotter. Every slow stop, every radio message, every strategy split gets magnified through the lens of national pride. It's the same reflex Alan Jones recognized from his own era. Supporters desperate to shield their driver from any hint of unfairness. But when you strip away the noise and stand trackside, the drivers themselves sound entirely different. Norris talks about 2 evenly matched cars. Piastri calls his dip strange, not political. And Claire Williams cuts the cleanest line through the debate. 2 competitive teammates will always generate friction simply by existing. That's not conspiracy, that's sport. For the veterans, this moment doesn't reveal favoritism, it reveals expectation. 2 countries invested in 2 young stars reading the same split-second decisions in 2 very different colors. Inside McLaren, the atmosphere is far calmer than the outside storm suggests. Engineers see patterns, not politics. They talk entire deltas, brake shapes, and micro-corrections rather than narratives. To them, Piastri's downturn is a solvable sequence. Tighten qualifying execution, regain confidence in low grip phases, and build a stable baseline before chasing peak pace again. That's why Alan Jones' comments land so strongly. They echoed the logic used by people who live this world lap by lap. But from the grandstands and timelines, the story feels very different. Fans see Monza's team order, Azerbaijan's chaos, the 58-point swing, and stitch it into something intentional. It's human nature, Jones says. When a favorite stumbles, people look for a villain, even if it's shadows on a garage wall. Claire Williams knows that view well. Every call looks wrong on Monday. Every split strategy becomes evidence. Every unlucky weekend a signal rather than a statistic. But the drivers operate in a colder reality. Equal machinery, equal expectations, no hiding. Norris has hit a streak, Piastri is fighting for a rhythm. That's the entire story. Uncomfortable, yes, but real. As the lights of Las Vegas rise against the cold desert air, this title fight enters the phase where pressure becomes its own element. Heavy, invisible, shaping every corner. And here's the truth the legends keep circling back to. Nothing about Oscar Piastri's season suggests sabotage, favoritism, or hidden agendas. What it suggests is something far more familiar in F1 history.
From Mark Webber's swings to Alan Jones's own battles at Williams, momentum bends sharply and sometimes cruelly before it bends back. Piastri still has 3 rounds to reclaim his rhythm. In the field knows his ceiling. 1 clean Saturday, 1 controlled stint, 1 tire gamble that lands in the entire arc of this season can snap into a new shape. Norris may have the flow right now, but form is a living thing. It moves. It returns. So this chapter closes not with certainty, but with a question hanging in the heat haze of the strip. Is this the start of Piastri's fade or the moment before the recoil? We'll pick that thread up in the next episode of the McLaren Civil War series. If you want the next chapter, tap into the playlist linked on screen. Narrated with synthetic voice, original script.